How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review, and it is stout time, blended stout time, in the form of Duclaw Brewing's Divine Retribution number 3. Never had any of the Divine Retributions. I've had the Retribution. I've had Retribution blended, I believe, with Devil's Due. I believe that's a blend of Retribution. So I've had a couple different variants of it, but never had this one. Super excited to give it a whirl. Because a lot of the bigger offerings, bigger barrel-age offerings from Duclaw, whether it be their Devil's Due, the Retribution, Colossus, Devil's Milk, Hell on Wood, all those barrel-age offerings I'm really a big fan of, so I'm super excited to give this a whirl. And it does incorporate pretty much two of my favorite, not my two favorite, but two of my favorite styles, and it's an Imperial Stout and a Wheatwine. I really like Wheatwine, so let's see what we have on the label. It says Duclaw Brewing Company, Divine Retribution, Imperial Stout, aged in bourbon barrels. Brewed and bottled by Duclaw Brewing Company, 10.8% alcohol by volume, and it is bottle number 2609 of 3240, so only 3,200 bottles produced. Series number 3, inspired by higher power, government warning stuff over there. On the side here we have what happens when a 40-60 blend of Retribution Imperial Stout and Misery Wheatwine style ale aged for 6 months inside a charred Kentucky white oak bourbon barrel. Third coming of Divinity. This full-bodied blended stout balances a citrus aroma and tropical fruity esters with righteous notes of dark fruit, vanilla, charred oak, and espresso for a union of suffering and justice that will leave you thankful that misery finally has company. So, yeah. Label is actually really like it. Very, that's what I'm looking for. A departure from atypical Duclaw labels. They're a bit dude bro for me. A little bit too extreme, or whatever you want to call them. This is somewhere between their typical label and like more like a Jack Daniel's whiskey kind of label. So I dig it. And it is dated. It's older. It says here bottled on 12/09/13. So we're just under 2 years old on this sucker. So, yeah. Let's see what she has to offer. Yeah. I've never even seen this before up until I saw it at a local bottle shop of mine. Figured I'd pick it up because I felt like treating myself, yo. So, yeah. I mean, they said a blend of a Wheatwine and an Imperial Stout, but they call it an Imperial Stout on the bottle, just probably for, just to call it something. It says here, 40-60 blend of Retribution and Misery Wheatwine. They mentioned Retribution first, which is Imperial Stout, and then they mentioned their Wheatwine, and if they were to go that way, 40-60, 60 is Wheatwine, so it's more Wheatwine than anything, but definitely doesn't look like a Wheatwine. You know, it had a half a finger, cat-colored head, decently creaminess to it, and it's dark. It's not super dark. You can glean a little bit of color around it, especially on the pour, but yeah, it sure looks like a nice stout, so let's see what she smells like. Awesome. A really nice sweetness there. I think that's all coming from, actually not all coming from, you're getting a little bit of that wheat wine. Wheat wines to me, typically when they're even not barrel aged, you get a lot of like almost a honey-esque kind of sweetness in there. I'm getting a bit of that going on, but I'm also getting a nice barrel sweetness. You're getting a nice bourbon in there, you're getting a nice char in there, you're getting that kind of, like what I look for when I hunt for in a barrel-aged beer, is that kind of, what I like to call that chocolate mixed with shaved char kind of vibe, and you're getting a little bit of that in here. Nice sweetness. Not over the top. Really nice, non-bittering or not overly charred char, I guess you would say. It smells like a sweet, bold, bright stout. Nothing too dark, nothing too dense, nothing too whatever you want to call it. Too thick, too muggy. I don't think it's going to be a super dense beer, which, you know, we'll see if that's a good or a bad thing. But yeah, it smells like it's barrel away. Get a little bit of roasted malts in there, but there's really, I mean, it's kind of a third or fourth player in there. It's all about the barrel in this one with a nice sweetness. I think that's what's coming from the wheat wine. So yeah, she smells like the goods. Let's see if she tastes the part. So cheers. Beautiful body to it. Beautiful body to it. Definitely not thin. Not thickest stout I've ever had, but definitely not thin. You are getting like a citrusy honey kind of mixture, like a floral kind of. It's not even a hop. It's almost like it's brewed with a honey, or even like a honey syrup kind of deal, like a honey maple syrup mixture. We're definitely getting a nice little roasty toastiness there from roasted malt, but it's not over the top. It's just kind of there, balancing a bit of that sweetness out. Get a little bit of that sweet bourbon in there. It doesn't nearly drink as close to 10.8%. I mean, you know there's booze in there, but it's not harsh at all. Definitely mellowed out. I think time has actually kind of evened us out quite a bit. Yeah, that is it's pretty damn scary, to be perfectly honest with you. Super drinkable, super easy to drink. Crush a whole bomber of this in my head, and that's kind of unnerving, I guess you'd say. But yeah. An odd blend, let's put it that way. The combination of the wheat wine with the Imperial Stout is good. And I dig it. And I really enjoy it. But it's a unique kind of blend. It's a little bit drying. It's not super cohesive. Even though it's smooth and it's easy to drink, you can tell the distinct flavors. Get that nice, like I said, you get that nice char in there. You're also getting like a plain kind of like oak, white, well they said white oak in there, like an oak tannin from it, a non-charred oak along with it. I dig it. It's very impactful and very explosive in flavor, and then it's like giving you a whole lot going on, but it's, again, like I said, even though it's kind of smoothed out and it's easy to drink, it's not super cohesive. Not necessarily a bad thing when you're dealing with a huge in-your-face beer. I dig it. I actually am a fan. So let's talk about it. Again, I've said this ad nauseum as of late. Converting, or whatever you want to call it. Switching to not rating beers on a number or a letter scale. I'm just going to talk about whether I like them or not. So you'll see a little bit of bleed over because I have a big backlog. But yeah, I mean, as far as talking about this beer, do I like it? I like it a lot. It actually hit the spot. I had it in my fridge, and I just sat down, and I was watching some of this Sunday Night Football, and I just wanted something impactful, I wanted something big, because I had some bottles that are a bit, for lack of a better word, delicate, that I was like, I could drink that, and I was like, no, this is what I want to drink right in this moment, and it absolutely hit the spot for me. It's giving me what I want. It's giving me impactfulness. It's giving me robustness. It's giving me muscle. This is not a pity pat walking around delicate beer, so it's serving the purpose of what I want it for now. Is it anytime beer? Of course not. I mean, you're talking about multiple barrel aged, blended, 11% wheat wine or Imperial Stout mix. But it's really good. Would I buy it again? Yes. There's a caveat to that because the price point is a bit high. I think I paid $22 for this. $22 for a bomber. It's an aged beer. It's a bomber. It's high ABV. There's a lot of work goes into it. But $22, my butthole puckers on that. So would I buy it again? Yes. You'd have to hit me in the right mood to purchase it again. But that price point is a bit high. So it's kind of tough. But in general, it's a really nice beer. If someone said, hey, do you want some of this? I would absolutely love to drink it again. But that price point's a little bit out in left field, I guess you could say. Availability, I've never seen it before, so I really can't say much. I mean, it's probably pretty low availability, being that it's aged. I've never seen it before, but I don't see everything, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure the closer you get to Maryland, which is where Duclaw's from, the easier it is to get, but it is aged, so yeah. All in all, it's just a really interesting, and that's the word I guess I go with it, interesting take on blending. And it works, but it works in a way that's not super cohesive and super melded. It's a little bit disjointed in a good way, I guess you would say. And if you like what we like this, if you like blended beers, or if you like wheat wines, but you want something a little bit more dark, a little bit something less divine, I guess you would say. Like it actually does remind me a little bit of Sweet Repute from Founders, in a totally backwards kind of way. I'm getting a little bit of those honey notes. I'm getting a nice wheat wine from there. I'm getting a nice barrel, but it's more on a darker sense of it. I'd really love to do like a black and tan. I've talked about doing a black and tan kind of mixture between the Sweet Repute and the CDS, if I could ever do that from Founders, because it seems like they're just meant to be together. That's the kind of vibe I get off this. I'd love to do like a black and tan with the Sweet Repute and this. I think it would be something cool to kind of check out, see how those flavors, that kind of honey-esque, wheat winey flavors kind of play off each other. This with the added element of the roasted malts and all that fun stuff, it'd just be kind of cool to do. Probably never do it, but if I did, I think it would be awesome. So if you're into those kind of blended beers, whether it be like Sweet Repute, or just wheat wines in general, barrel-aged wheat wines, and you want a little bit more roasty toastiness to it, this definitely be worth giving a whirl. And if you into those kind of beers, the price point I paid for it, I don't mind that I paid what I paid for this beer. It's the second time around I'd have an issue with it. So if you saw this on your shelf floating around for $20 and you're curious, I think it's worth a buy, and judge for yourself. But as a second purchase, be a little bit hard for me to pick up. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. If you did or you didn't, or somewhere in between, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want to check us out anywhere else on the internet, you can. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped. Massive beers in all four of those places. Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice blended beer right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.